Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. There are existing out there smart people on the economy, right? Some of those smart people are manipulating the economy. Be that as it may, there are people out there who are telling us this thing cannot last, right? This thing we call the economy and everything based on it is going to take a hit. We know that. You know that, right? And there are people out there who are giving advice on things to do. So I guess I'm going to be one of those guys. You know, Dave Ramsey, who I don't follow everything he says, but he has some wisdom, right? He's has some good ideas. He says that everybody should have an emergency fund of $1,000, right? $1,000, because $1,000 will see you through a lot of different things, and I think that's good advice. Now, I had somebody question me the other day, should I cash in my 401k and buy survival supplies? And I have people send me emails or, YouTube messages and things like that. Hey, should I invest in silver and gold? So this is kind of what this video is about. Should you invest in silver and gold, PMs, precious metals, or maybe more succinctly put, what you should invest in before you invest in PMs? All right, I wrote this book, another shameless plug, Survivalist Family, Prepared Americans for a Strong America. The things I'm about to tell you in this video are by and large in this book. I really recommend you get this book. You can get it on Amazon. Survivalist Family, just type it in there. It's pretty cheap. All right, should you invest in silver and gold? I don't think it would be a problem if you took half of your $1,000 emergency fund and put that in precious metals. Silver right now is what, $15-ish an ounce, and gold is probably still well over 1,000. Haven't priced them for a while. But before you start sinking, car and house money into precious metals, I would encourage you to make sure you've covered your basics and intermediates first. And what are those? You know them. Food and water, right? You should have food and water. What does that mean? Honestly, regular grocery food other than, non-perishable food, crackers, canned goods, things in jars, that kind of thing. You should have a good 2 or 3 weeks to a month of that in your house right now. Right now. If you don't have a month's worth of regular grocery store food in your house, that's what you should be spending money on. Beyond that, it is not too much to say you should have 6 months of food for everyone in your family. Not too much by far. And so if you don't have 6 months worth of food for everyone in your household, before you buy silver, buy food. Water. Water is pretty much free, right? I mean, you turn on the tap, it comes out. No big deal. What you need is containers. And same token, you should have 30 gallons per person of your household in or very close to your house. That you can just get right now. And so, containers, depending on where you get them, if you buy a purpose-built container, a 30-gallon keg or whatever, plastic barrel, you're going to pay about $1 a gallon capacity. But you can do things like I've told you before where you get, 2-liter soda bottles, 3-liter bottles, whatever. You can get free containers if you want. But you should have water, and you should have a month's supply of water, and then, as I've said over and over again, you should have a plan and means to get more. And so, maybe you want to buy a big Berkey filter. Those puppies are like $300, Maybe not. Maybe you want a big pot and a grate, and you're going to boil your water, which people have done for centuries. Good idea, but you have it. Buy that before you buy another silver round or a silver bar. So food and water. Medical. If you're on medicine, I encourage you to get off. But I am not against medicine. I just think it ties you to a system that you probably don't want to be tied to. But you should have medical stuff at your home. You should have, your basic advanced first aid kit. You should be able to deal with gunshot wounds, on a relatively long-term basis. I know, you can go off on a tangent there. It's impossible. You should be able to do the best you can do. You should have just regular medicines if you take those medicines. And I'm talking like aspirin or pain reliever, cough medicine. I'm running this cold now going on a week. Things like that. If you're into essential oils, then you should have a stock of essential oils. Whatever you use to treat yourself, you should have a good supply of that. What's a good supply? Again, I think everything 6 months supply is kind of like a bare minimum, right? So you should have that stuff. Children, if you have children, that ups what you need, as far as food, medicine, water. You kind of throw that whole thing in there. You should have that kind of stuff. You should have good sewing kit to repair things, just basic stuff like that you should have. Guns and ammo. I think every household in America should have a shotgun. Absolutely. And, several hundred rounds of ammo. I think that probably every adult, teenager to adult, should have a handgun and a assault rifle. And, several hundred rounds of ammo for that. You do not need 10,000 rounds of ammo for your assault weapon. I'll put a link down below to an article I wrote on that, on why you don't need 10,000 rounds of ammo, or things you should buy before you buy 10,000 rounds of ammo. I digress. But yeah, you should have some basic firearms and some ammo to protect yourself and to provide for yourself. You may have to go hunt for food. Things like that. These are pretty basic, normal things. And okay, now I've still got money. What am I going to do, Pastor Joe? Food, water, medical. Well, how about reliable transportation? That'll be so much better than a handful of silver rounds if you've got a pickup truck. And it doesn't have to be the kind I see running around parts of Texas and the Dakotas and the oil and gas industry. That's like the brand new Dodge Super Hemi lifted up with light bars and stuff. It doesn't need to be that. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got this pickup truck I've showed you before. $250, two-wheel drive, bought for $1,800. Yeah, that thing works, and it hauls stuff. It hauls me and mine and all kinds of stuff where we want to go. Get yourself something like that, and make sure it's in good running condition, and make sure you have spare stuff for it. Spare belts, spare fluids, a toolkit. How do you know what you need? I remember hearing advice like this back when I was about 30 and knew absolutely nothing about cars. And I remember thinking, how would you even know how to use that stuff? Well, number one, maybe I'll happen by and you'll have the stuff so I can help you fix your truck. And number two, you need to start doing more work yourself. The more you do yourself, the more you learn. And so the next time it's time to have your oil changed, instead of going to Jiffy Lube, do it yourself. The next time it's time to change brake pads out, get a buddy who knows how to do it and say, hey, come here and show me how to do this, that kind of thing. And then you can just build on there. So get a good car, get something that works and reliable transportation for you and yours. Now, do I now buy silver and gold? I think really maybe you can park it there, because here's the thing. I don't think, and again, not the financial advisor, okay, I don't think you should be sitting on a whole lot of cash. As far as, and when I say cash, I mean in the bank, right? Like you've got $10,000 in the bank, or you have this much in the bank, or, whatever you have in the bank. That stuff could evaporate overnight. And that $10,000 could have been turned into a real nice truck and trailer, or whatever. But a day late is too late. And so I think you should be spending your money now. Yes, I do. Can you get some land? Can you get a little piece of land, just a couple acres, and start gardening, start putting money into tools and gardening and seeds? Can you set yourself up some critters, some easy to grow on the farmstead critters? Chickens are easy, build yourself a little chicken coop and start learning about chickens, things like that. Can you start an earthworm farm? These things take money, right? They take time, but they're going to make you more self-sufficient. So for when this whole system just goes, pew, at least you've got something for you and yours, and probably to help some other people, right, that wander by. Hopefully you can produce abundance. I've just started rereading a book by Christopher Nurgis. And man, I wish I could remember what it's called. But if you look him up on Amazon, it's the book with a shovel on the cover. I just found it again and started reading it again. And it's something about urban homesteading. He lives on a little lot in the middle of, built up California somewhere. And evidently he's doing a pretty good job back there. And you can do that too. My mom lived in a townhouse. That's what we called them. It was like apartments, like 3-level apartments all hooked together. And she had a little tiny backyard, and she turned that whole thing into a big garden. You should be gardening now. You should be spending your time and effort right now, spring's here, starting on a garden, because it has a steep learning curve, gardening. And so start planting some stuff. You know, even if you don't have a yard, you can do container gardening, that kind of things. But you need to start producing food. Food is so important. Food is one of the most important things. That's what you should spend your money on. Your 401k, man, that's totally up to you what you're going to do. I cashed in my 401k. I paid horrific taxes and penalties when I did so because I wasn't old enough to cash it in. And I spent that money building an off-grid house for cash. All right, that's what I did with mine. You know, so I'm giving you advice that I have taken myself, you know, whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you have to do, but that's what I did because I looked at Cyprus, I looked at Greece, I looked at Iceland, and I listened to what people were saying here, you know, people in the know about, well, we may have to tap into these IRAs and, you know, seize them or whatever. You know, at least now I got a house, at least for a while, until I get kicked out of that, you know, and then have a plan for that. But anyway, before you start investing a whole lot of money into PMs, please take care of the basics and the intermediate things. Start thinking no services for a year. How are you and yours going to survive? All right, I'll see you out there.